So as I'm sure most of you are aware, 2016 is the year of the latest Scottish parliamentary elections, in which we get the chance to vote for the people that sit in Parliament to make decisions on our behalf. When our government's control includes things like education, healthcare, local services, it's pretty important that we make sure the politicians sitting in Holyrood are representing us. The first step towards which is voting. Given that we can vote in Westminster, the Holyrood elections, local council elections, all of which have different voting systems, it can get slightly confusing. So I'm here to tell you how to vote and what happens to that vote. I say vote in the singular, but actually you're probably aware that in the Scottish elections we actually have 2 votes and 2 separate ballot paper lists. This is because Holyrood works under the additional member system, which means like Westminster, each constituency votes for an individual MSP. Those do not, however, fill up all of the seats in the Scottish Government. There are actually only 73 constituencies in Scotland, which means there are only 73 members of Scottish Parliament representing individual constituencies. But sitting in Parliament, there's actually 129 MSP seats. The other 56 seats are filled by regional MSPs. Scotland is in total divided into 8 regions, each region having 7 MSPs on top of the constituency MSPs that come under that region, which means you as an individual are represented both by your constituency MSP, who looks after a much smaller area, as well as 7 regional MSPs who together look after a larger area. There are also 2 more seats in the Scottish Parliament, but neither of those are elected, so not relevant to this video. I would advise you against eating your MSPs. Because we have both constituency and regional MSPs, we have 2 ballot forms. It might sound slightly more complicated than simply using the first past the post system, which they use in Westminster. It means we only have to vote on 1 ballot paper, but the general consensus is that it is also more representative. So on your constituency ballot paper, it will show a list of candidates standing as MSPs in your area, along with the party they are standing for. In this case, you simply put a cross in the box next to the candidate you would most like to represent you in Parliament. Then comes your second ballot paper. This list is usually a lot longer than the other list and represents a much wider array of parties, so there will probably be parties on that list that were not on the other list. There may even be a larger selection of independent candidates on this list. Here's where most people go wrong. All you need to do is put 1 cross next to 1 party on this ballot paper as well. Do not cross, tick or number more than 1 box, or your ballot paper will be spoiled and your vote will not be taken into account. Your constituency MSP will simply be chosen on who got the most votes, and the 7 regional seats in your area will be divvied up according to what proportion of the votes each person on the list got. One of the best things about this voting system is that you can vote for multiple parties or multiple candidates. So say you voted for a candidate standing for 1 party on 1 ballot sheet, you might want to vote for a different party on the other ballot sheet. The First Minister of Scotland is then chosen by the members of Parliament we have elected. Technically this could be anybody that the members of Scottish Parliament choose to give that seat to, but it is traditionally given to the leader of the party with the largest number of seats in the Scottish Government. Hopefully you found this video helpful, and regardless of who you put your crosses next to on the ballot forms, I hope that you do vote this year. So make sure you're registered and I'll see you next time. How many MSPs is too many MSPs before my tea?